that we're in this morning, the do's and don'ts of an activity professional. So a lot of people in the chat being very friendly and saying good morning. You may think that's very simple, but actually that does go a long way, and the impact that can have over time is fantastic. So a really good start there from everybody, so thank you for that. So as the title suggests, the do's and don'ts of an activity professional, what I'd like to make clear straight away is that this is not going to be me for 30 to 45 minutes telling you what to do and what not to do, because as the bottom suggests, we're not creating robots. This is not about us programming you to do things when you're told and not do things. The idea behind it is the do's that we're going to go through. These are things that have been tried, tested, and they've triumphed for many years. So lots of people, lots of activity professionals, lots of franchises have done these things over time, and they have a massive impact for the better on themselves and their business. Likewise, for the don'ts, these are things that have been identified over time and they have introduced issues. So I just want to make that clear, guys. I don't want it to be a case of me talking at you and saying what to do and what not to do. It's about an awareness piece. So everybody here, no doubt, are doing lots of things day by day that are having a positive impact on themselves and their business. My job this morning is just to double check and make you aware of all the good things that you are currently doing. Likewise, to identify areas that maybe we want to avoid, as it does suggest, to reduce any issues occurring. So at this point, my favourite website of the week is slido.com. So on your phones, if you could head over to slido.com, and the event number is U861. And I'd like you to answer the first question. And it's around you as an AP. What's been working for you, or what do you think would benefit an activity professional so far? Now, it's not related to anything directly. It can just be you as a person or in your role. It can be in a school context. It can be in a club context, a franchise context, whatever it may be. I just want you to share something that you think would be good for a new activity professional to do. So I'm going to jump over here now. So anything at all, what works for you as an AP? Remain positive at all times, brilliant. Brilliant start. Shadowing experience in schools, another fantastic idea. So thank you to those people that have shared that. Fully planned and organised, 100% agree. Relationships with all staff in schools, sessions fun and enjoyable. Demonstrations from children, plan, do, review. Helps plan the best lessons. Professional at all times, smile on your face, making sure you're organised. Learn through play. Professional at all times, talk to teachers. Learning from other APs. This is fantastic. Keep it coming. Behaviour management techniques that are versatile. Remain professional, build rapport, friendly, approachable. Sessions being engaging, adaptive, open-minded, passionate.
Neil, we've got stuff on the chat. Approachable, fun, great communication with children and staff.
Fantastic.
That's from
Thanks
James.
for that, Darren. Resources from different websites, excited about sport, class topics that link to lessons, shadowing and asking for assistance when needed, really valuable, and we'll come on to that one afterwards. Always be prepared, don't go into a session unplanned. Opportunities for children to demonstrate. Wow, what a start. Thank you so much for that. Organised. So what I'll do at this point now is I'll refer back to our slides. A lot of brilliant answers there, and it's so good to see that a lot of people already, you've got an understanding and an awareness of these type of things that can have so much impact and that benefit activity professionals in their role in the school environment or in a different environment. It's so good to see those and hear those type of answers. So brilliant. Again, the theme for this is an awareness piece. It's about knowing what things are effective. Well, very good start. Let's now think the other side of the spectrum. So what have you found, or do you think, so it may not have happened to you, or it may have happened to you, either way, doesn't matter, but what do you think doesn't benefit an AP? So some of the answers already have alluded to that, but what type of things do you think may be, or may raise some issues? So not planning, not being prepared. So they're two things that I'd advise against. They can lead to further issues. Being on time, not being polite, fantastic. So very much about what you've just said, just flipping it into a negative. So not taking advice, not being open-minded, having an attitude, overly critical.
Neil, we've got one on chat. Not ready to learn, thinking they are better than any advice, etc.
Okay, very good. And again, that will be alluded to after about thinking better, not being energetic, incorrect uniform, not leaving enough time for planning, not helping others to help you, i.e. clearing after lunch. I love that. Whoever said that, I love that. Being too laid back or too nice. Interesting, and I do agree with that. I do agree with that totally. So that's a good point. Not understanding different needs, brilliant. Being late, not listening to others, not asking for assistance, not listening to advice, lacking in confidence, slang. Again, really good that we understand some of these differences. Just so you're all aware, with these slides that have been created, this is based on things that we've seen and heard over the years. So I imagine the majority of people, if not everybody on this webinar, are sitting there thinking, well, it's common sense, it's common knowledge. If you're currently thinking that, fantastic. Okay. If there's a couple of things that you've thought, well, actually, I didn't think of it like that, brilliant. You don't need to share it, but it may be now something which later on, when things get returned to normal and we're back in schools and back working with children, or if you're currently still working with children, things that you can sort of be mindful of to maybe change over time. So the next few slides, guys, we're going to be looking at just a couple of different scenarios and ways that we can apply these do's. So we're going to look at making a great first impression. Now, if at any point somebody wants to unmute and shout out and share any further to the comments, then please do. But when you're making a great first impression, people always begin with the eyes. It's what they will see. So your appearance. So somebody earlier in the don't said about incorrect uniform. So up and down the country, when I go to see APs, and Darren's the same when he's working with APs, if there's anybody without uniform, sometimes it can be that they've not been issued the correct kit. Other times it's that it's in the wash, whichever it may be. Ultimately, it's the AP's responsibility. And if you know you don't have the sufficient kit, you need to then go and ask about that. And again, that's another sort of underlying theme for today. It's about you taking ownership of everything that you do. Speak clearly and slowly. So at this point now, personally, I am actually thinking and listening how I am talking, and am I being clear, and am I talking slowly? Eye contact, brilliant. When you're meeting somebody for the first time, getting that eye contact, it just shows that bit more of a genuine approach and a willingness to want to get to know somebody and meet them. Now, it's very easy to talk about confidence and be confident, and it's easier said than done. So with these little things that we can be mindful of and do, if you actively try to do these different things, in time, that will build confidence. Okay? Being polite and friendly. So a lot of people reference that in the do's chat that we did earlier. So that's really good. A couple of things for you now to take away. So some smart targets for those that maybe would like some smart targets on a great first impression. When you arrive in a school for the first time, have a look around. Is there a trophy cabinet? Is there a plaque on the wall for healthy schools or healthy living? Have they been awarded with something years gone by? Even if it's dated in the 90s or the early 2000s, it's an achievement. You can use that as sort of your introduction and your common ground. So when you're signing in, if somebody's coming to greet you at the door, or if the office administrator, if they are greeting you and going to take you through school, use that as a discussion starter. So I couldn't help but notice netball team won a trophy a couple of years ago. That's brilliant. Conversation begins to start then. So that's one of the tips for making a great first impression. Have a look in that foyer, in that reception area. If you spot something that you can see, use it. If there isn't anything like that, but there's a display board that the children have made around a particular theme, use that and just say, really, I really like that. What class did that? Or what year groups did that? And just use something, because it's that genuine effort and attempt to become part of that extension of school, and you're taking an interest in the school. And that is one way to make a great first impression. Be genuine about what it is that school is doing and make comments on it for the better. If you're with a parent, first after school club in a particular school, and the parent's coming to collect their child, comment on the child's performance. Give them a compliment, either that is competency based or behaviour based. It can be something like, oh, made some great passes today, real good team player is little Johnny, or whoever it may be. Or it could be, oh, but your child can just say thank you because they helped me clear the cones up at the end. It was really nice of them to do that. As a parent, that first impression is that you're very genuine. You've got a genuine interest and passion for what you're doing. So that is something else which, from a parent side of things, will make a great first impression. And then finally, being prepared and have all your resources needed. So if you're signing into a school for the first time, have your DBS and photo ID in your hand ready. And before the people in the office ask for it, offer it to them. Have it with you. Be prepared. It shows that transparency then. They know that you are organised and you've got everything you need, and that there's nothing to hide. So they're just some really good tips for making a great first impression. I don't think we need to read through the negatives, the don'ts. So they can be read through as sort of we're discussing. But being unprepared, I do want to raise that one. So when I've been visiting a number of schools and I've been with a member of Premier's team or an activity professional, on occasion they have been asked for DBS or photo ID and they've not had it. Now, it's not a great start, because some schools may not let you in at all. Without that, you're not going in, which will then identify a big issue. Or it may be that they will let you in, but they'll be telling you to stick with somebody from school, a school member of staff. But it's just an introduction that we don't want to have. So I won't go through every one of the don'ts, but at least be mindful of something like that. And it's good to remember this: you never get a second chance to make a great first impression. Once you have met somebody for the first time, that is it. I'm talking from experience, because I worked in schools as an AP for over 10 years in the early days. It took me months and months and months to get somebody on side because my first impression wasn't great. So always be mindful, the first time you're going to a school, the first time you're meeting a parent, if you're going to your first Premier team leader team meeting and you're new to the team and everybody else, all the other APs are in the room, make that first impression the best possible one you can. Let's now look at your behaviours. And this is to others and about building relationships. So again, in the chat box earlier, we had somebody reference the do's about building relationships. So learning people's names. I'm just going to open it up. Why is that important? If somebody wants to unmute and discuss that, or if somebody wants to type in the chat box, why is learning people's names important?
It shows that you're interested in them as a person and that they're just not another body.
Brilliant. It's exactly that. It's an interesting, again, I've used this word a lot this morning, but being genuine. Now, for APs on the call that maybe work in 5 schools, each school having up to 300-400 children, it's a task. It is a task. And me with names as well, sometimes I can sort of get confused. But if you're making the effort and you're attempting to learn names, that is brilliant, and that is the best start that you can have. And over
Neil,
time, yeah.
sorry. Yeah, we've got a fair few on here as well.
Brilliant. Fire away, Darren. Fire away.
Yeah. It's a personal, personal connection, sets a comfortable environment, makes people feel comfortable, builds a relationship, shows confidence and shows engagement, shows a willingness to become part of the team, gives you authority over class. They are more likely to listen if you address them by the first names. Shows that you have an interest and a willingness to learn and help to build relationships with staff and children.
Wow, gold dust, and we are recording. So that is gold dust. So thank you to everybody that has shared those answers. Again, you may be sitting here thinking, well, that is really simple. It's common sense, but it's the awareness of how impactful such a simple thing can be. So really good. Continually promoting good manners. So yourself, being well mannered, your pleases, your thank yous, holding doors open, smile on your face, which somebody mentioned before. So always being that positive person who does demonstrate good manners. Likewise, if you're leading a class through school and you ask a child to hold the door, tell the child, count your thank yous. You're promoting good manners then. I did that years ago in a school, and the head teacher heard it because her office was near the corridor. She absolutely loved it, and then she got teachers to do the same. So promote the good manners. That is by yourself modelling best practice, but also with children. Tell them, count your thank yous when you hold the door, and just continually do that. Treat all with equal respect and remain positive. So at times, things can be challenging. It may be that you've had a disagreement with a member of your Premier team, or it may be that something wasn't completed in a school and somebody has pulled you up on it. You just got to remain positive and learn from it. And ultimately, nobody is out to sort of criticise. All that type of feedback is for benefit and to learn from it. So just remain to treat people with equal respect. Be honest. Somebody could ask me a question now and I may not have the answer, but I'm not going to try to lie my way through it or speculate. If you don't know, just say you don't know, but then say you will find out. So if a school are asking for something and you're not sure, just say, I'm not too sure. I'll go back and speak to such a body, whoever your manager may be, and I'll come back to you. That is a brilliant response because it's just using that initiative. Likewise, asking for help. If you've got a franchise, you're fine. Challenge, I need some support. And years ago, the mistake I used to make as an AP, a young AP, I used to see that as a weakness, which is a load of rubbish. It's a load of rubbish. It's not a weakness at all. It's a strength. If you need help in something, ask for it. Don't be afraid. Okay? So being honest is a really good way to build those relationships with people. Integrating downtimes. It's a nerve-wracking experience, maybe going into your first activity professional meeting, if you're new to the company, or if you're going into a school, sitting in that staff room at lunchtime, if you do get time to do that, or at break time. It's a real nerve-wracking experience. The benefit that has over time, though, is massive. It's massive. Why do you think, again, chat box or unmute, why are those times critical to your relationship building? Anything in the chat box, Darren?
You become a valued member of staff.
Very good answer. Who was that?
Savvy.
Thank you for that, Savvy.
We've got getting to know the getting to know the children or members of staff on a deeper level, speaking to teachers, understanding certain children, etc. Look at staff, display the type of people, displays the type of person you are. You feel like you are a part of their team. Become become a familiar face and find out where the school could use more support. A perfect opportunity to discuss issues with teachers and become part of the team. Sure, you're part of, I think means team, not time. They are more likely to include you in other activities within the school. You're making your first impression on a group of people. So quite a lot of good points there. You become approachable. I would always offer to help other staff in certain things after school, etc., to build relationships, to be part of the team and build up trust with them.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well done to everybody for sharing that. Thank you so much. And again, it's good for us to understand. So on the left, I've not referred to this yet, but why? So I'm very big on what, why, and how for everything, everyday life, even personal related things. What, why, and how. Again, this morning is an awareness piece. We're not programming robots. This is about going through the things that you are already doing, but better understanding or having an awareness of understanding why they are so impactful and important. So to pick up on a couple there, helping members of staff after school if they've got things to carry to the car or they've got somewhere to tidy. Little things like that where you're investing a bit of time, of your own time, you're not being paid for it, but investing an extra 20 minutes, half an hour to help, that will go a long way. Somebody mentioned about being invited on school socials maybe. That will go a long way. Likewise, if you're a member of a team in Premier and there's a new activity professional, you may take it upon yourself to say, listen, let's have a 15-20 minute call or go for a coffee and we can go through some of these things together if you like. So just taking that time, again, being genuine, building relationships, it's massive. I'm going to flip to the don'ts for that. And one key area, which I do feel that would benefit being shared, lunchtime and having your lunch in your car. Now, believe it or not, schools can, and they have done in the past, they pick up on that, and that links to the isolating yourself. I know isolate, the word at the moment, has a big impact on the current climate and current situation, but certainly going to have your lunch in the car and coming back out, schools do pick up on that. And I know it's hard going into a staff room. I've been there myself and I've done it, and I was uncomfortable at first. But if you just put yourself through that little bit of uncomfortableness and get yourself in there, have your dinner, start talking to people, it has massive value moving forwards. And that is when your relationships will blossom with all these members of staff. The final one for the do's, build a positive relationship and find a common ground. So for every teacher, teaching assistant, AP I've worked with, franchisee, I'll always try to find something that we do either have in common that isn't work related, or something which maybe is an interest of theirs, which I'd like to know more about. So for example, in a school I used to work in, member of staff, Rachel, used to have a lot of, talk to her a lot about school and the children. But then I found out that she had an interest in cooking. Now I am a bit of an avid cook as well. I'm quite modest, but I am a brilliant cook. And another time we'll do a webinar on some of the dishes I make. But anyway, I won't go into that now. But I found out that she liked it. So from then on, our talk in the staff room was cooking and baking. And I did hold my hands up to her and say, I'm not the best baker. Now she said her daughter, she's brilliant and she's always entering competitions, this, that and the other. Within 2 weeks, I was getting cupcakes once a week. She was bringing cakes in and saving me slices, all because I just found out about something different, something personal. So if over time you get to know all these different people you're working with in Premier, in your schools, find that common ground, it can really help it blossom. I'm going to use a child example as well. There was a child in one of my classes, I just couldn't get him engaged. Whatever I did, he just was not engaging as best as he could. And it was really getting to me. I noticed on his pencil case, however, there was dinosaurs. So I just thought, and I tried it, and I did an activity that was dinosaur themed. What do you think happened?
He was engaged. He was much more focused, I bet.
He was engaged, much more focused. I found that common ground. Now, that's not to say that every lesson afterwards was about dinosaurs, but because I themed it on dinosaurs, I did spend a bit of time in break as well when I didn't have anything on in the school. I was out on the yard. When I saw him, I talked dinosaurs. What's your favourite dinosaur? What's the fiercest dinosaur? I don't know much about dinosaurs. So then from there, he was telling me all about them. And he became engaged over time because I was taking a genuine interest in something he likes. Now, I'm not saying that he was the hardest working pupil the following lesson. It wasn't that at all. But over time, I kept asking, I kept talking to him about dinosaurs. I dropped the odd bit in lessons, and over time, that relationship got better and better, and his engagement did become a lot more consistent throughout the terms. The final one before we move on, making yourself the common denominator. So this is a don't. And there's some people who I know that have worked sort of for Premier locally years gone by and then kept in touch, and they've gone to work for another company, and then they've gone to a different company after that. Now, making yourself the common denominator, if you're demonstrating a lot of these don'ts, over time, those behaviours are sticking with you. And whether you move from school to school, or that school they didn't like me for whatever reason, I want to move school. Oh, now this school, they don't like me really, this and this, I'm going to go to the other school. Oh, they don't like me either. Whatever it may be, if in all these different environments you're finding issues, to me, you are making yourself the common denominator. You're the common, you're the consistent one. And that breeds from demonstrating or actually practicing some of these don'ts. Now, I'm very, very confident that in this group, from the answers I've been hearing, that is not the case. So these behaviours will not leave you. It's about you taking ownership and being responsible for everything that you do. A relationship is not based on the length of time you've spent together. It's based on the foundation you've built together. So for every relationship you make in your Premier franchise, in your schools you work with the parents you're dealing with and the children, you are the architect for that foundation. Don't leave it to chance and wait for somebody to come to you. You go out there and you build those relationships yourself. And I guarantee over time, you are going to become a pivotal person in your Premier business. Opportunities will come to you. If you're that person, opportunities will come to you sooner. If you're that person in the school are going to be asking for you for more time, and you're going to build those relationships up, and it's just going to make your role so much more impactful, but also enjoyable as well. Okay, we've got one more area, guys, and then I'm going to put it back to you, and that'll then finish us off for this morning. So adapting to changing surroundings. Just showing your worth and offer help when needed. So somebody has already mentioned about helping somebody tidy a PE cupboard or carrying something to a car, or investing your own time into helping somebody else. Really good and really effective. Be solution-based. And at this point, I'm going to introduce one of the don'ts. So some people naturally are problem-based. This isn't working. That's not right. They didn't have footballs. The PE cupboard's locked and I can't get the key. So if you're solution-based, the PE cupboard's locked, I can't find a key, I've got some equipment here, I can do that. I've no footballs for my invasion session. Right, I'm going to ring my franchisee and I'm going to tell them that school would like football specific and we need to get some footballs. So making yourself solution-based, it then helps everybody else, but then it also makes you, it just puts you across in a more positive light. So there's nothing wrong with presenting a problem. So if you say, right, my lunch club, there's only 5 people on, that is fine to present the problem, but then follow it up with a solution. There's only 5 children on my lunch club. It is for Key Stage 1, and they do have lots of other things running. Why don't we open it up to Year 3 as well? That's a solution. Go to your franchisee or your team leader with your solution. Done then. So that is what we need to be. We need to be solution-based. Have a plan B. No equipment there. Right, I can do this then. I can use this equipment I've already got, or I can change the activity to make it safe and inclusive and use my plan B. So a couple of times on the road when I've seen APs, they've not had the hall for some reason. They don't know what to do with that session outside. So always be prepared for the unexpected. Understand your surroundings and have realistic expectations. So somebody mentioned that earlier, which I think was brilliant. So know who are you working with? What are their expectations? What is the agreed impact if it's school context? If, like myself, I used to do some work in pupil referral units and EBSD schools, emotional, behavioural and social disorder schools. For me to work in a class of 10, all with extreme behaviour, for me to expect them to sit with legs crossed, arms folded, fingers on lips, it's not going to happen. A success for me that day is if they didn't swear at me and call me something. So that was about me adapting to change. I wasn't no longer in a mainstream school. I need to understand that surrounding and have realistic expectations. Likewise, if you're in a mainstream school and you've got large numbers, be realistic about what you want to achieve. And then finally, links in nicely, change to the needs of others. And it shouldn't be others changing to your needs. Now, I've just put in, some may have seen this, some may have not, the different learning styles. So autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire, the different teaching styles, sorry. So just in case anyone's not aware, or I'll open it up, autocratic. Does anybody know what an autocratic deliverer looks like?
Yeah, someone just auditory, just talking the whole time at somebody, and they're taking on from that.
Perfect, thank you for that. So it's very much you're working in that area, you're using this equipment, you're applying these rules, you go when I say, you stop when I say. A very, very rigid, regimental approach. Democratic?
You give people a say in what they're doing. So it's more down to them, really.
Good, it's a 50-50 approach. You're going to work in that area with this piece of equipment. However, I'm going to let you choose the method of your choice to manipulate that equipment, and you can apply your own rules. Good, and then laissez-faire.
It's all up.
Yeah. So where you let them do what they like.
Correct, yeah. So laissez-faire, maybe it's a case of allowing them a lot more autonomy and freedom. So it's saying, okay, you know what you have to do in this first part of the session. You pick your equipment, you pick where you're working, you pick your rules, you pick the method of moving the equipment, off you go. Now, the reason I've included this for this slide, and I'll bring it back in now, adapting to changing surroundings. A lot of the time, when this slide occurs or when I hear people talking about these delivery styles, APs will often say, I am this. So they'll say, yeah, I'm democratic, I do this. Somebody else will say, yeah, I'm autocratic, I do this. Now, naturally, you will have one, which is either your favourite or your strength. Now, what we need to understand, and this is where adapting to changing surroundings comes in, every AP ultimately needs to have all three styles in their locker. And you're applying that to whatever the surroundings or whatever the class or group require. And I'll use an example now. In my last year at a school, there was a year 5 class who, they were called year 5, but it was a mixture of year 4, 5 and 6. Half of them in a class of 15 were at a Peru part-time. So some days they were in the school, other days they were in a different school because they had extreme behavioural needs. And some of them as well were low achievers, and because of that, there was a lot of low-level disruption. Now, in order for them to progress, I needed to be autocratic. So that year 5 class in the school had autocratic Mr. Hetherington. I then had a year 2 class who, for their age, they were quite advanced. They had a good understanding of PE. They were always asking or answering a lot of open questions. And competency-wise, they were ahead of other year 2s I've worked with. Now, albeit it's the same school, and I'm still the same AP, my approach to them was democratic, because that's what they needed. So when you're adapting to changing surroundings, it's not a case of I'm a democratic coach or I'm a democratic AP. You need to adapt to my ways. It needs to be, okay, this is my year 5 class. These are their needs. They need this type of delivery. So on and so on. Does that make sense? Anybody want to comment on that? Anyone want to challenge that? It's entirely your opinion and your thoughts. Hopefully it came across as well as I'd like it to. It's all about adapting to your surroundings. And that is a massive do for being an AP. Show how versatile you can be to adapt to the needs of every single person you're working with. And it's all about that. I'm a massive advocate, and I think these core values that Premier have are brilliant. Because as an AP, that's one of my weekly checklists. If I can tick off all of them or most of them in a week, I've had a productive, positive, enjoyable, brilliant week where I've been the best AP I can. So I cannot recommend sticking to those enough. And work smarter, not harder, and remaining above the line at all times. So being solution-based, taking ownership, using initiative, they are massive for being the best AP you can be, as are the rest. So final slide, guys, last couple of minutes. I'd like you to go back to Slido, and I want you to set yourself a challenge. And I want you to say what 3 things from this morning are you either going to do differently, or what 3 things do you currently do that you're going to do even better or be more mindful of, just based on this morning? Is there a particular do that was a smart target? So prompting children to count the thank yous, is that something you're going to do to promote those good manners in school? Just have a think for a minute or so, and then get them in. If you've got more than 3, brilliant. If you've only got 1 or 2, still fantastic, share that. First impression, thank you for that. So it's having that one and only opportunity to create the best possible first impression that you can. Again, if that doesn't go to plan, which I've done myself years gone by, it can take months and months to change. Adapt coaching style to different classes, brilliant. Core values aside, tick them each week. I like that. Promoting good manners, differentiating the ways of teaching, count the thank yous and being solution-based, brilliant. Adapt to different coaching styles to every single club. Count the thank yous, first impression, planning. Build relationships with children that may be struggling, excellent. Think out the box to engage children who aren't too keen on sport. So a common ground. Is there something on the pencil case? Have they got a football shirt on where you can have a civilized conversation, albeit for a few seconds? Start a conversation with a teacher. Improve your first impression. Thank you for your honesty, who that was. Tell children to count the thank yous. Find a personal interest. Love the count the thank you idea. Thank you. I'm happy that you like that. Continue to develop relationships in school and adapt sessions to what children like and engage. Find out about sport team in school. Lots and lots of brilliant actions. So now the key is go and do it. If you're still working in schools or on camps, now's your time to do it. If not, and you're waiting for when everything's back to normal, do it. Being solution-based is another new one. Add more themes to activities to engage. Be planned and prepared. All you can do is make sure that you are each week. And if not, learn from it and be better next time. First impression about conversation starter. Excellent. Trophy cabinet. Read the plaque. What does it say? Have they got a healthy schools plaque that they've been awarded with? Is there a display board in that main reception area where you can comment who's done it? It looks brilliant. Just get something that is school-owned, school-based, because you're taking a genuine interest then in what they do and their achievements. And that can be a great conversation starter. Better at promoting clubs. So that's more solution-based. Thank you for your honesty and an excellent point. Ways to promote your clubs. It could be you ask for permission to stand outside the school gates every morning and give out new leaflets. It could be at lunch times, if there's nothing on, you talk to the children whilst they're playing about the clubs. Lots of ways to promote that club. You can speak to your franchisee, and can we utilise any social media accounts that we have to promote the clubs? Right then, I'd just like to say thank you for this morning. Lots of brilliant engagement, lots of really good answers. Awareness is fantastic in lots of different areas. Just keep doing what you're doing. Any 3 things or anything that you've shared, make sure you get them done. Make a promise to yourself to do it. Is there anybody or anyone else would like to share before we finish? I've just noticed get children's ideas for clubs, another brilliant idea. Okay, thank you for your time, everybody.